My dream at 67. My name is Elena. I am 67 years old. And today, I have a plane ticket to Dubai. Can you believe that? I still can't. When the woman at the counter gave me the ticket, I said, "Is this really mine?" She smiled and said, "Yes, ma'am. Enjoy your flight." I looked at the paper and saw my name, Elena Martinez. That's me. But how did I get here? People think dreams are for young people. They say, "You're too old." They say, "It's too late." But they don't know me. They don't know my story. I didn't always have a dream. I didn't even know what Dubai was when I was a child. I was too busy trying to eat, trying to study, trying to help my family. We had nothing, not a bed, not even a door, just hope, and that was enough. One day, when I was already a mother, I saw a photo in a magazine. A big city, a place with lights and tall buildings. The name said, Dubai. I said, "One day I will go there." My children laughed. "Mama, that place is far away." I laughed too, but deep inside, I said, "Why not?" Now I hold the ticket. But it wasn't easy. No, it was never easy. This dream almost died, many times, but something always kept it alive. And just when I thought I was too old, something happened. Something that changed everything. Something I did not expect. But let me tell you from the beginning. I was not born rich. I was not born lucky. I was born tired. Tired from the beginning. My parents worked every day. My father said, "If you don't work, you don't eat." So I worked. When I was 9, I cleaned floors. When I was 12, I sold food on the street. When I was 15, I stopped going to school. I said one day I'll go back, but I never did. Years passed. I became a wife, then a mother. My husband said, "We must save money." But there was never money to save. Everything went to food, clothes, and school for the children. I didn't complain. I was happy, I think. But the dream of Dubai was still there. Quiet, hidden, but alive. One day I told my husband, "Maybe when we are old we can travel." He said, "Travel where? To the next street?" And he laughed. I laughed too, but I didn't forget. Then something bad happened. He died. I was only 61. People said, "Now you will rest." But I didn't want to rest. I wanted to work. I wanted to save. I said, "Maybe now. It's my time." But things got worse. My health started to change. My back hurt. My head hurt. The doctor said, "You must stop working." I said, "If I stop dreaming." He said, "You are not young anymore." I said nothing, but inside I screamed, "I still have time." Everyone said, "Dubai is too far. It's too expensive. It's too late." Even my own children said, "Mama, please forget about it." But I couldn't. I couldn't let it go. Not yet. Not after everything. And just when I was ready to give up, something strange happened. I started working again, even when the doctor said no. I said, "I will work slowly." I cleaned one house a week, then 2, then 3. I sold tamales at the church on Sundays, I saved every little coin. I wrote Dubai on a small jar and put all the money there. It was not much, but it was something. Every month, something happened. The fridge broke. The roof leaked. My son needed help with rent. My granddaughter needed money for school. I opened the jar. I gave the money. Then I closed the jar and started again. Sometimes I cried alone. I said, maybe this dream is too big for someone like me. But then I remembered something my mother once said. If you walk slow, but never stop, one day you will arrive. So I didn't stop. One day I saw a cheap flight online. It was a special offer. Only $400. I had 3 on 10. I ran to the jar. I counted. I smiled. I just needed 90 more. Maybe in 1 more month, I thought. But the next day, the offer was gone. I missed it. I felt so bad. I wanted to break the jar and forget everything. I told my daughter, maybe I was foolish. Maybe this is not for me. She said, Mama, you should rest. You're already a hero. Thou, you worked so hard. You helped all of us. But I didn't want to be a hero. I wanted to be in Dubai just once, just to say, I did it. Then something strange happened. My grandson came to visit. He sat next to me and said, Grandma, I saw your jar. I was quiet. I thought he would laugh, but he said, You are amazing. You believe in something, and you never give up. I smiled, but I didn't know what he was thinking. The next week, I heard a knock. He was there, holding a small envelope. This is for you, he said. Inside, there was a ticket, a real ticket, to Dubai. I looked at him. What is this? I asked. He said, You're going. You're not going alone. I'm coming with you. I said, But how? He said, I saved some money. I want to use it for this. You waited all your life. Now it's time. I wanted to say no. I wanted to say, keep your money. You are young. But I didn't. I said, thank you. That night, I couldn't sleep. I looked at the ticket. My name was there. My dream was real, but I was afraid. What if something happened? What if I was too old? Then I remembered what I said many years ago. One day, I will go. That day was close now, but one more surprise was waiting for me. Something I never saw coming. The day of the flight arrived. I was ready. My bag was small, just some clothes, my passport, and the jar. Empty now, but full of memories. My grandson smiled at me. Are you excited? He asked. I said, yes. But inside, I was not sure. At the airport, everything felt fast. Too fast. So many people. So many lights. I showed my ticket. The woman said, Gate B12. My grandson said, let's go. But my legs felt heavy, not because I was tired, because I was afraid. At the gate, I sat down. I looked at the big screen. It said, Flight to Dubai, on time. My heart beat fast. I whispered, this is real. This is really happening. But then something inside me changed. I looked at my grandson. He was young. He had work. He had a life. And he used his money for me. I said, maybe I should not go. He looked at me. Why not, Grandma? I said, "This is not your dream. It's mine." He said, "But I want to be part of it." I closed my eyes. I remembered everything. The jobs, the pain, the jar, the lost chance. And now I was here, one step away. And still, I wanted to run. I stood up. I walked to the counter. The woman said, "Ready to board?" I opened my mouth, but no words came out. I looked back at my grandson. He smiled. I looked again at the plane. Then I heard an announcement. "Passengers for flight B-12, please prepare to board." My body froze. I said to the woman, "I can't." She said, "What do you mean?" I said again, "I can't go." My grandson stood up. "Grandma, what's wrong?" I said, "What if something happens? What if I get sick there? What if I don't understand anything? What if I make a mistake?" He looked at me. "You worked for 60 years. You raised a family. You survived loss. You saved coins in a jar. You taught us never to give up. And now you want to stop because of fear?" I didn't answer. Then he said something I'll never forget. "This is not just a trip, Grandma. This is the finish line. You ran the race. Now you must cross it." I looked at the ticket. I looked at my name. Elena Martinez. It was still there. It was still me. And then the speaker said, "Final call for flight B-12 to Dubai." My hands shook. My heart said, "Go," but my fear said, "Stay." I took one deep breath, and then something happened, something unexpected. I was standing at the gate. The plane was ready. My grandson waited beside me. I had the ticket in my hand, but I could not move. Then the woman at the counter said, "Boarding is now closed." I looked at her. "No?" I said. "Please, just one more minute." She shook her head. "I'm sorry, the doors are closed." My chest felt heavy. I missed it. I missed my flight to Dubai. My grandson said, "It's okay. We can try again." But I didn't answer. I sat down, quiet, empty. I had waited years. I had worked, saved, believed, and now it was gone. I whispered, maybe this was a sign. My grandson said, "A sign of what?" I said, "Maybe I waited too long." But then, just 10 minutes later, he got a message on his phone. He read it. Then he smiled. "Grandma, listen. The flight is delayed. Engine problem. They are moving the passengers to another flight." "What does that mean?" I asked. "It means," he said, "you still have time." I didn't believe it, but he showed me the message. The airline was sending us to another gate. New flight, same destination. I looked up. "Is this real?" He said, "Yes, Grandma. It's your second chance." We ran to the new gate. This time, I didn't stop. I didn't think. I gave the woman my ticket. She looked at it and said, "Welcome aboard." I walked through the tunnel. I heard the sound of the plane. The dream was no longer a dream. It was real. But there was one more surprise. As we sat down, a flight attendant came to us and said, "Are you Elena Martinez?" I said, "Yes." She smiled. We heard your story. Your grandson shared it with us. We want to give you something. I was confused. Give me what? She said. An upgrade. First class. I laughed. Me? First class? She said, yes, you deserve it. I looked at my grandson. Did you do this? He said, no, Grandma. You did this. You made people believe. For the first time, I had no words. I sat in the seat. I looked around, and I said quietly, this is not just about flying to Dubai. This was about never giving up. And then the plane started to move. The plane took off. I felt the sound. I felt the power. I held my breath. This was it. I was flying. I was going to Dubai. For a few minutes, I didn't say anything. I just sat there. I looked out the window, even if I couldn't see much. I didn't need to see. I already felt everything. My grandson asked, how do you feel? I said, like I'm dreaming, but this time I don't want to wake up. We talked during the flight. We laughed. We remembered old stories. I told him about the first time I saw the picture of Dubai. I said, back then it felt like another world. He said, and now it's your world too. After many hours, we landed. I heard the sound of people clapping. I looked at my grandson. I said, we made it. He said, you made it, Grandma. When we left the airport, I saw a sign that said, welcome to Dubai. I smiled. I said, I waited 67 years to read those words. But the truth is, Dubai was not the real goal. The real goal was to believe again, to keep going, to show myself and others that age is just a number. People think dreams are only for the young, but that's not true. Dreams are for anyone who refuses to stop, anyone who says, I will try again, anyone who still has fire inside. Now I'm back home, but something is different. People come to visit me. They say, tell us your story, Elena. And I do. I tell them everything. The work, the pain, the jar, the fear, the flight. But most of all, I tell them this. It is never too late. It is never too far. And you are never too old to dream. I tell them, start with one coin, one step, one hope. Keep going, even if it's slow, even if no one believes in you, even if you fail. Because one day something will change. One day the dream will knock at your door, and when it does, I hope you open it just like I did. I sit here now, and I think about everything. All the years, all the work, all the times I wanted to stop. And I ask myself, what if I had given up? What if I had listened when they said, you can't? What if I had believed I was too old? I would still be sitting at home, still dreaming, but never living the dream. So now I say to anyone who is listening, don't wait for the perfect time. There is no perfect time. Start now. Start small, but start. Even if you are tired, even if you are afraid, even if no one believes in you, because dreams don't belong to the young. They belong to the brave. If I can do it at 67, you can too.